Today's podcast is a bunch of tough love, just some real talk, some facts, some adult conversation that every real estate agent needs to hear. We as an industry are not going backwards. We as an economy are not going backwards. There's a new normal that's happening right now. There's a new normal that's being defined right now that apparently far too many realtors have not wrapped our heads around. And that stops right now. What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 305 of the Massive Agent Podcast. I am your host, Dustin Brohm, here in Salt Lake City, Utah, where fall has just apparently come to an end. What an incredible fall it was for you guys in Florida. Fall is where the leaves change color and the air gets crisp, and it's just fucking fantastic. But we had the best fall that I can remember in a long time, and it might be snowing today, so that's nice. That's nice. It's bound to happen eventually. Guys, welcome to the show. This is going to be an off-the-cuff, honest, frank conversation. But I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to talk to you like an adult because, God damn it, that's what you are, even if you're not fucking acting like it in your business, because there's an unbelievable number of agents that are still operating as if it's 2019 or 2021 or even 2016. I'll explain what that means in a minute. Now, what I'm not really discussing today is the new normal as far as how we're going to do business with this class action lawsuit that NAR is dealing with how buyer agents are going to be getting paid and who pays commission and all that stuff. I will be doing an episode very soon diving deep on that. But today, I really just need to... I was going to say speak from the heart, but really, I don't even know if I'd call it that. I don't know if I wouldn't call it that. And anyways, we're just going to talk. This is just some real shit, okay? Let's talk about the new normal. There's far too many agents who believe that we're going to go back to 3% interest rates. We're going to go back to 3, 4, 5% interest rates, and that you can just keep doing the shit that you used to do that got you business. Well, I'll explain in a second why that's just not going to work and why if you continue acting as if nothing's changed, acting as if we're going to go back to the way things were and doing all the same shit that got you, that worked for you years ago, you're just probably eventually going to end up leaving this industry, or rather being forced out if we're being specific. Being forced out meaning you can't afford to pay your bills because you don't have any business, because nobody trusts you and nobody sees you as an honest broker. No pun intended. Actually, yes, pun intended, or whatever that's called. Pun, what's the other one? Whatever. You get the point. Before we get started, big shout out to Keeping Current Matters. They do all of the tough research, all of the economic data that comes out. They are digesting it, they're interpreting it, and they bottle it up and they package it up and they give it to you and say, here's what's happening, here's what you need to know, here's what's about to happen, and here's how to communicate it to your clients, what it means to them as buyers and sellers and investors. Keeping Current Matters is a tool that every real estate agent should have in their tool belt. I cannot believe how many agents don't use KCM. You can try it out right now by going to trykcm.com/BAM and checking it out, because most of your competitors, all the big ones doing a ton of business, they're already using KCM. You need to as well if you want to be taken seriously in your market as a real estate advisor, not just a salesperson. We've talked about that before. You don't just want to be a salesperson. Nobody wants a fucking salesperson. Everyone, right now, especially, needs an advisor. So, Keeping Current Matters will help you become one and act like one. Speaking of becoming and acting like an advisor, BAMX is an incredible community of like-minded real estate agents from all around North America who have already figured out how to adapt to this new normal that we're talking about today. It's an incredible community that has, just by being a member of this community of BAMX, you get access to all of their online training, all of their courses, incredible stuff. Make sure that you go to check it out. Go to massiveagentpodcast.com/BAMX, and at checkout, to get 10% off the whole year, use code MASSIVE to get a discount. For as little as $10 a month, you could be part of the BAMX community. And like I've told you before, Every single agent that I've talked to about BAMX who's a member loves it. They said they'd pay more for it. They think it's a screaming deal, and they are dumbfounded that more agents are not part of BAMX. So jump on it right now, massiveagentpodcast.com/BAMX. Use code MASSIVE to get yourself a discount. Let's talk about the new normal. I'm talking about economic conditions. I'm talking about interest rates. I'm talking about housing unaffordability. I'm talking about that whole conversation. Everything with the class action lawsuit and changes in commission, how it's getting, how we charge it, how it gets paid, who pays it, all of that stuff we're going to talk about in the near future, because I have the solution for it. I was actually taught this 12 years ago when I got into real estate. That's how I used to operate, and it's fully transparent. It gives all the control to the clients, and you get paid whatever the hell you want to get paid. And if your client could decide which house they want to see, which one, we'll talk about that in the future. But this episode is on the new normal. Look, you cannot blame Jerome Powell's crusty ass for your struggling. You cannot blame Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve for your inability to get clients. You cannot blame the government. You cannot blame Biden. You cannot blame anyone but yourself if you're struggling right now. Now, I understand things have gotten more difficult, but have they? Okay, they've gotten more difficult, yes, but if you really zoom out, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022 were pretty easy, right? You didn't have to do a whole lot to sell a house. Take 2022 out of the mix. I mean, shit started changing then, but you get the point. Between 2019 and 2021, no one had to market a house. All you had to do was get the listing, and it sold. You just had to get the listing, put a sign in the yard. Sometimes you didn't even have to put the damn sign in the yard. You just had to whisper, hey, this house is going on the market, and there you go, 12 offers. They just pop up. They just appear. You guys who are listing agents over the last few years know exactly what I'm talking about. That was great. However, you learned some bad habits. It's what you didn't learn that was the bad habit. You didn't learn how to market a property. You didn't learn how to get more exposure for a property because you didn't have to. So you got lazy. Buyer's agents had to work their ass off to get offers accepted, which made those buyer's agents better because you had to get creative. You had to learn how to be assertive. You had to learn about escalation clauses and other creative ways to get offers accepted. You had to communicate clearly with the listing agent. You had to build rapport with them. You had all the stuff that made better buyer's agents. But it made lazy ass listing agents. So now that you can't just throw a property on the market and it sells in 3 seconds, you actually have to do some work. And very few agents were taught how to do that over the last few years. Now, that's not the Federal Reserve's fault. It's not Bank of America's fault. It's not my fault. It's not Biden's fault. It's not Trump's fault. You allowed that to happen, okay? And the sooner you take responsibility for everything that's happening in your business, good or bad, the sooner you'll start to fix shit. The sooner you'll start to improve, and the sooner you can start to grow and build towards success. But if you keep blaming interest rates for how difficult it is, if you keep blaming interest rates for the clients you don't have, if you keep blaming them for all of this, then you're giving the power to someone else, to some outside force. You're giving Jerome Powell's old wrinkled ass way too much credit. Take control and responsibility now. Now, if you're struggling, own it. You're only struggling because you haven't been doing the right things long enough. Emphasis on long enough. A lot of you are doing the right things, but you do them sporadically. You do them inconsistently. And then you wonder why you get inconsistent results, or nothing really pans out. Nothing really pays off because you're bouncing from one thing to the next. The analogy, we've been talking about this in my coaching group, the Massive Agent Society, for a while, that when you have a snowball and you're pushing the snowball and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that's your machine. That's the business you're building by doing the same few things over and over and over and over. And you just keep doing them, your snowball gets bigger and it's moving. You're making progress. But the moment you let go of that snowball to go over and start pushing another one, what do you think happens? Right? It stops. All the growth stops. Nothing happens. It just sits there, right? So stop leaving the snowball to go push another one, right? You've got to keep going with what you're doing. Make sure you're doing the right things. Many of you already are. And then keep doing them. Hear me now. Keep doing them long enough to win. As long as you do that, and you and only you control whether or not you do that, you're going to win. Now, you also have to have the right messaging. We've talked about this in numerous episodes over the last couple months. I highly recommend you go back, starting at, I think, episode 301. The new messaging that you need as an agent. It's not okay anymore. It's not going to work. It's not going to play well for you if you continue trying to convince people that this is a great time to buy a house. If you just keep speaking to the internet and doing all your content about why you should buy a house, why it's a good idea, why there's a lot of people out there who don't want to hear it because they're so frustrated, they're so emotional about how goddamn expensive it is, how high interest rates have gotten, how unaffordable and unattainable their dream seems. So notice I said seems. They believe that that's the case. They need an advisor to show them some other creative ways where they can actually achieve the goal for less money, for less per month, right? For less down, or whatever it is. Consumers are craving your guidance and your advice more than ever. When everything was just going up and to the right and interest rates were 3%, it's freaking easy. The battle then was just how to actually find a house for sale and get it under contract. That was the hard part. Now it's how do you afford the house? So the new normal that I want to talk about is this. We're going to be dealing with these high interest rates for possibly the next decade. Yes. Now, that's not just me, the podcaster dude, I have 12 plus years of real estate experience, and I am a thinker, but nonetheless, I listen to a podcast called All In, the All In podcast. It's these four Silicon Valley billionaires, and they're close friends. They're very intelligent. They're not necessarily experts on any one thing, but they're very well read. They're very successful in their field, which is usually venture capital and startups and Silicon Valley, all that. So like they know what's happening. Well, one of those billionaire venture capitalists, one of the co-hosts of the All In podcast, Chamath Palihapitiya. What an amazing name, right? Chamath, this is why most people just refer to him as Chamath, but Chamath Palihapitiya believes that the Federal Reserve, will keep interest rates higher for longer. He's predicted recently, based off all the data he's looked at, the experts he's spoken to, and these are people who have connections at the SEC, in the government, at the Treasury Department, like at these, multi-$100 million hedge funds, right? These are the people who pull the strings. And these high interest rates will be where they're at for probably at least the next year. So what he's telling all of his founders of the companies he's invested in is plan on these 7, 8, 9% interest rates for at least the next year, till the end of 2024. So let's run with that for a second. Till the end of 2024, these 8% rates that we've just seen, and they may go higher, God forbid. They may. Wouldn't it be easier if you just planned on rates going higher and you make a plan for that? And then if they don't go higher, fuck yeah. Easier for you, right? When you plan for the worst and then the worst doesn't happen, it's easier for you. It's better for you and all of your clients. So plan on the high interest rates. So he believes that we're not even going to see any relief till the end of 2024. And then we're going to be living in a high interest rate world for the next decade. Chamath Palihapitiya says the Fed is unlikely to cut rates anytime soon in the foreseeable future. He sees up to 7 more years of high interest rates because it would be, and he actually thinks that would be good for the venture capital industry. He says we should prepare for interest rates higher than we'd like and for longer than we want. The era of excess, abundance, and zero interest rate policy has ended. It's done. It's in the past. And he believes till the end of the decade, we'll be living in a high interest rate world. So let's assume that's right. If it's not, great. Do you see what I'm saying here? Let's plan on high interest rates, not necessarily 8 or 9% for 10 years. I don't think that'll happen. But I also don't believe rates are going to go down to 3% again. I just don't see that happening. So let's say they go from 8 down to 5.5 or 6, 6.5, and we're kind of there till the end of the 2020s. You should probably make a plan around that. And if rates go down even more, hallelujah. That's great. I want to be wrong. Chamath wants to be wrong. So it would be stupid to make all of your business plans and communicate with your clients and tell them, hey, it's not going to be that bad. What if you just say, hey, yeah, we're going to be stuck in these high interest rate environment for a long time, possibly till the end of the decade. So here are the solutions. You get that last part there? And here are the solutions. Here are some strategies that work well in these environments. Here are some ways that we can get you a less expensive mortgage. Here are some ways that we can have the seller pay down your rate permanently so you're not paying 8%, so you're only paying 6 or whatever it is. Here are some ways to creatively acquire real estate without a traditional mortgage. What if you approached business from today forward that way? Just assuming that we're going to have 6, 7, 8, 9% rates for the foreseeable future, for the next 7 years. Hopefully that's wrong, but again, plan for it to be right. And if you do, you will thrive, because I guarantee it, 98% of you guys listening to this, unfortunately, will think, yeah, that sounds great, but then you're going to go back to doing the same old shit. You're going to think, well, you should buy the house and then just refinance next year because rates have to come down. Do they? Do they have to come down? We think they will. We hope they will. We anticipate they will, right? And I'm one of those people. I anticipate they will. But you can't give advice saying, hey, I know it's really not affordable right now. You might be stretching. You should buy it anyways and then just refinance later. What if you're wrong? Then you just completely fucked that client. That family is in a horrible financial position. They might be on the verge of short sale, foreclosure, bankruptcy, divorce. You know that money problems is by far the number one cause of divorce. So you want to put your clients potentially in a situation where they increase their financial stress? I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like a good deal for me. That doesn't sound like a business model I would want to adopt. That doesn't sound like the best way to get referrals in the future from your clients. That doesn't sound like the best way to build a great reputation in your market. Now, does it? But what if you said, hey, I know the news and everyone else is saying rates are going to come down next year and everyone's making plans on it. Well, let's plan for that to not happen for a while more, but here's what we're going to do. That's the key part is here's what we should plan for. Here's what we're going to do as a result. Here's the plan. We're going to talk about assumable loans. So you can actually take over someone's 3% loan. You could do 2-1 buy downs, permanent rate buy downs. You could have the seller pay for the rate buy down. You could talk about house hacking, ADUs. ADUs are a big hot topic right now because if you have a $5,000 mortgage payment, but then you have a big chunk of grass in the back of your yard that you're not really using, what if you plopped an ADU down on there, right? You put 60 grand into an ADU, you put it in the backyard, you rent that sucker out for $1,200. Now that $5,000 mortgage payment is only $3,800 per month. You teach people these strategies, or renting their basement or the mother-in-law apartment, or house hacking by buying a duplex and rent out one side, or all those things, right? Just house hacking in general. I don't hear agents talking about that shit. The only agents I hear talking about that are on my team because this is what we talk about. The agents on my team and in the Massive Agent Society, those are the videos I see. Those are the people advising people this way, and maybe a couple others. I'm not saying we're the only ones. I know we're not. But for the most part, where's everyone else? And if you've been listening, especially since episode 301, and you changed your tune, you changed your message, and you're saying, hey, yes, it's very unaffordable right now. Housing affordability is a problem. Interest rates are a problem, but here are the solutions. You might have just done a couple videos like that and then just went back to talking about the same old shit. I know that because I've watched a lot of the agents I'm connected with do it once or twice, maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times for an overachiever, and then they settle back to what feels comfortable. You've got to adjust to the new normal. You have to become comfortable in this high interest rate world, because if Chamath Palihapitiya, with the fantastic fucking Sri Lankan name, is half right, then we're going to be dealing with these high interest rates for years. Maybe not 7 years, but for years. But yet a lot of you are making plans and telling your clients and doing content, instructing people that, hey, rates are coming down very soon. They're going to come down next year. Well, they may, but what if they come down from 8 to 7.2? Like, I know that that's relief, but it's not exactly what you're hoping for. Wrap your head around the fact that we live in a high interest rate world for the foreseeable future. You guys that are new to real estate, what an awesome opportunity you have to start doing business this way from day one. The agents who are going to have the hardest time making this adjustment, and it's a mental adjustment, by the way. This is all in your head. This is all a decision you have to make. This is all in your head. But the agents who are going to have the hardest time making that decision and making that mental adjustment, shifting that paradigm, those are the agents that have been in the business for a long time. Those that just got used to the way things have been done. Like I said before, you cannot blame Jerome Powell or Janet Yellen or Basement Joe for all of this shit. But here's the thing. You also, when things start to click for you, when you are doing the right shit and you do it long enough and it starts working, you also can't blame them. You can't blame the economy. You can't blame interest rates. You can't blame the market. You can't blame your broker, your brokerage. You can't blame me. You can't blame your mom. You have to take responsibility for the good and the bad. So if you're in a shitty position, if you're frustrated, if you're on the verge of going out of business, take responsibility. Own that. And in owning it, in taking responsibility, lies so much power, because now you realize you control everything. Interest rates are higher than they have been. You're going to win anyways. Interest rates go down. You're going to win anyways. Trump is the president. You're going to win. Biden's the president. You're going to win. Whatever, right? Like fucking aliens come in next week. Well, maybe they're home buyers. So you're going to win anyways, right? I mean, shit, they're going to need a place to stay. You parents, did you ever see Home? I mean, they need a place to stay. They don't need toilets or bikes. But I love that movie, Home, the movie Home with, what's his name? Jim Parsons, the voice, he's the voice in the movie, but he's Sheldon in, Big Bang Theory. Is that what it is? Yeah. Sheldon. Yeah. He's in Home. One of the best kids movies ever. I think it's a DreamWorks movie. You should watch that shit. But those aliens needed a place to live. My point being, you have to decide right now that you are going to not just survive as an agent, you're going to thrive. You're going to grow. You're going to have your best year ever. And then you're going to do it again next year and the next year. And you are going to have so much damn success and help so many consumers who right now are lost and frustrated and pissed and emotional and hopeless. If we're being honest, a lot of them are hopeless. In order to have a thriving career over the next few years, you have to help a shitload of those people out. You're going to improve their lives, their situation. You're going to put them on the path to one day be financially free. You're going to start them on the path. You're going to help them push over the first domino towards wealth building by starting the home ownership journey and showing them how it's still possible. If your clients have life events coming up, they need more space or less space. They need to relocate if they got a job offer somewhere else. There's always going to be homes buying and selling. You just have to decide, are you going to be one of the people selling the house, or are you going to be watching everyone else do it? I'll tell you what, if you keep blaming the economy and interest rates and the market and inventory or the lack thereof, if you keep blaming Biden or Trump or Jerome Powell or whoever the fuck, you can't be surprised when you struggle, because you've given the power to someone else. And if you don't have the power, you're just telling yourself subconsciously you can't do shit about it. What an awful place to be. The agents who are thriving, we have agents right now on my team, agents in the Massive Agent Society, who are telling me every single week, I hear from a new one, this is my best year ever. And it's because they're doing the right stuff. They're doing a few things. They're doing them over and over and over and over. They're doing it consistently, and they're doing it with the mindset that they're going to win no matter what interest rates are. And guess what happens? They start doing it. They start winning despite interest rates. When you decide that that's how you're going to be, and then you have the action to back it up, magic happens. That's not really magic, is it? That's really the law of attraction. You are attracting the results by your mindset and the action that goes with it. So step your ass up. You can choose right now to thrive and have the best career ever and help a shitload of people and make more money than you ever thought possible in this industry, because there are agents every fucking day who are winning and growing and gaining market share. And there's even more who are going the other way. Which one are you going to be? You get to choose what your new normal looks like. You get to choose your place in this new normal. We will see a year from now what you chose. It will be apparent. Make a decision, put the action behind it, partner with and link arms with people who have already accomplished the thing you want to do. They've already built the team. They've already built the business. They've already built the lead gen system. They know what to do. Stop trying to reinvent the frickin' wheel. It's unbelievable to me how many agents are beating their head against the wall trying to, it's so hard to grow a team. Well, why aren't you following the playbook of anyone who's grown a fucking team? Why don't you have team leaders, team owners, people that have built teams and then exited sales? Why aren't they your mentors? Why aren't they your business partners? Why aren't you part of their team, their organization? This is why agents join my group, because I have been, a lot of them want to get out of sales. That's something I have done because I built a business. Last month, I think we sold 120 homes within my organization. I don't know any of those clients. I didn't sell the houses, but I built a business that allows me to step out of production, and I'm working with a lot of amazing entrepreneurial-minded agents. So they put their butt in the right seat to link arms with myself and my mentors to help them get to where they want to go faster. Are you willing to make a move like that? We'll see. I hope so, because what you're trying to do has been done. You just need to be around people who have done it and then do the work. It's so simple. It's such a simple formula. And some of you are just choosing not to follow it. You're choosing not to follow it. The new normal is here. Where do you sit in it? Thanks for listening. Share this episode with somebody that needs to hear it. If you haven't yet, please rate or review this show on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you listen. Thank you so much. See you next week.